The classroom had never been so silent. Every student sat frozen, eyes wide, watching in disbelief as the new teacher, Miss Carter, was dragged by her hair across the floor. The bullies thought they had won. They wanted to humiliate her, to break her spirit in front of everyone. But what happened next turned into a lesson no one would ever forget. Miss Carter had only started teaching at Westwood High a week ago. She was young, full of passion, and determined to inspire her students. But as the new teacher, she had become a target for the school's notorious group of troublemakers. Ryan, Kyle, and Jared. They were the kind of bullies who thrived on fear. Most teachers either avoided confrontation with them or simply gave up. From the first day, they had mocked Miss Carter's teaching, tossed paper balls at her when her back was turned, and tried to drown her voice with loud laughter. But Miss Carter never raised her voice. She never lost her calm. She believed every child, even the bullies, was capable of change. That afternoon, however, things went too far. The bullies cornered her after class, pushing desks aside. Ryan sneered, "You think you can boss us around? Let's see you crawl like the weak teacher you are." With cruel laughter, they grabbed her by the hair and forced her down. Gasps filled the room. Some students wanted to step in, but fear kept them frozen in their seats. For a moment, it looked like Miss Carter would crumble. She stayed on the floor, her hair tangled in Ryan's fist. Her eyes, though, told a different story. She wasn't broken. She was thinking. Slowly, she stood brushing herself off, even while Ryan tried to hold on. In one swift, precise movement, she twisted his wrist. Ryan yelped in pain and let go instantly. The class went dead silent. Miss Carter didn't scream or shout. She stood tall, her voice calm but sharp. Violence is never strength. You think humiliating others makes you powerful. No. It only shows how afraid you are. The bullies froze. They weren't expecting resistance. They weren't expecting wisdom either. Kyle tried to laugh it off, but his voice shook. You can't talk to us like that." "Oh, but I can," Miss Carter replied firmly, "because this is not just a classroom. This is a place where you will learn respect, whether you want to or not." The other students began to whisper. For the first time, someone had stood up to the bullies without fear. Some even smiled, a glimmer of hope in their eyes. The principal arrived minutes later, alerted by another teacher. At first, he seemed ready to scold Miss Carter for the scene. But after hearing what happened, and seeing the bruises left on her arms, his anger turned toward the bullies. They were suspended immediately. But that wasn't the end of the story. Suspension alone wouldn't change them. Miss Carter knew that. The next week, when they returned, she made a bold move. She asked them to stay after class. The boys rolled their eyes, expecting another lecture. Instead, Miss Carter handed them a challenge. "You want to prove you're strong?" she asked. "Then use your strength for something good. You three will be leading the school's community project this semester, helping at the local shelter. I'll be supervising. If you refuse, you'll spend every afternoon in detention." The boys groaned, but they had no choice. At first, they dragged their feet, mocking the work. But over time, something unexpected happened. Working at the shelter, seeing kids younger than them struggling with real problems, changed their perspective. They began to see how their actions hurt others. Slowly, their arrogance faded. Ryan, the ringleader, was the first to break down. One day, after helping a little boy carry donated food, he stayed behind. "Miss Carter," he admitted quietly, "I used to think being feared was the same as being respected. But I don't want people to look at me with hate anymore." Her voice softened. "Then start changing today, Ryan. True respect is earned with kindness, not fear." The transformation wasn't instant, but it was real. The boys began treating their classmates differently. They still had their rough edges, but they no longer tried to dominate others. And the students who had once suffered under their bullying felt empowered to stand tall too. Miss Carter became more than just a teacher. She became a symbol of courage. She proved that strength doesn't come from cruelty, but from standing firm in the face of it. The story of how she turned humiliation into a powerful lesson spread throughout the school, inspiring both students and teachers. By the end of the year, Westwood High was different. The halls felt safer. The classrooms were filled with more respect. And the three boys who once ruled through fear were now learning what it meant to lead with compassion. The memory of that day, the day bullies dragged their teacher by the hair, never faded. But instead of being remembered as the moment she was broken, it became the turning point where she showed everyone what true strength looked like. And that strength left the entire school speechless.